If you're someone who's struggling to land their first paying clients and finding it hard to figure out everything on your own, don't worry, I've been there myself. I know what it feels like to be completely clueless when trying to attract your first paying client for your business and overall waiting in the dark and not seeing your business grow. But I was able to go from that to generating hundreds of high value clients for my business using a simple framework that I have used over the years. Now in this video, I'll share with you that for free. So if you're interested, just go ahead and stick along. If you've never gotten a client for yourself before, it's important to be aware that there's probably a knowledge or a skills gap that make it difficult for you to get your first clients. For example, if it's your first time skiing, you need a specialist to ensure that you have the right equipment and a ski instructor to give you the skill of skiing and knowledge to navigate the slopes. And it's no different for getting your first paying customer. So the lesson is to become aware of your knowledge and skill deficiency if it's your first time trying to land new paying customers for your business, as it's this acknowledgement will speed up the time it takes you to get your first paying customer and achieve success. And that leads me on to my next point. What are the top reasons that prevent people from landing their first paying client? So number one, lack of key knowledge and skills. Just as we discussed, people don't have a means or a mechanism or a way to attract their first customers. They don't even know where to start. It's not a skill that they've acquired in the workplace or not a skill that they've acquired in the modern education system. Number two, lack of desire. The process of getting new customers requires one to navigate into the unknown and embrace failure. Acquiring your first client is a lot like riding a bicycle. You're going to fall down a bunch of times and maybe even get hurt, but that temporary struggle is necessary to achieve your desired outcome. And the reality is most people avoid pain, and that's why so few get their first client. It's that desire that really drives people on. You know, when I first started out in business, I had literally no skills and knowledge applicable to running a business. I didn't have the ability to sell. I didn't have the ability to market myself well. I didn't know anything about finance or accounting or bookkeeping. Basically all the core skills an entrepreneur needs to succeed in business, I didn't have. But what I did have was a strong desire for success. And that strong desire allowed me to persevere, and ultimately that perseverance allowed me to land my first paying customer. And I never forget my first paying customer. It was actually a website I developed for a local butcher. And that customer I happened to acquire through my network, through a referral. I had some tech skills at the time, and so naturally I started selling software and development services for businesses in my locality. But the problem I had is I didn't know how to price my services. I didn't know how to structure a really good offer. What that meant was that I was delivering a whole lot more and undercharging for it. But I learned several valuable lessons from acquiring that first customer. And these are the mistakes a lot of people make when trying to acquire their first customer. So number one, understand that getting your first client is going to be scrappy. More often than not, you're not going to have your first paying client served up to you on a silver platter. And what makes it so scrappy is that you don't have a clear understanding often of what you're exactly going to offer the market, and you don't know on the other side what the market actually needs. And it's only through talking to people and figuring out what they want, you'll get a clearer understanding of what it is the market wants and what your offer is going to look like. Additionally, you don't know the art of attracting and winning new customers either. So you're trying to acquire all these skills. You're trying to acquire all this knowledge about acquiring new customers and building offers and marketing yourself and branding yourself. And that's why the first customer you acquire is always going to be the most difficult. But I guarantee you, just like everything, when you get that first customer, it becomes a lot easier to get the second customer and the third customer. And it does so for a multitude of reasons. When you get the first customer and you deliver a good outcome for that person, you can then create a case study. You can showcase to new customers who are of a similar profile to the first customer you landed some results that you delivered them. And that builds trust and that builds credibility, because when you're going for the first customer, you don't have that trust and credibility. You might be able to lean on, let's say, the career that you were doing for the last decade, which might give you that credibility. You might be able to lean on the degree that you did for the last 4 years to demonstrate that you have competence in this area and that you can actually deliver for customers. But it is always difficult when you don't have a body of clients already to use as reference clients. Often customers want to talk to past customers that have worked with you as reference clients, or they want to see some sort of case studies at least. So there's a bit of a leap of faith when you get that first customer, and that's why it can be so difficult to land that first customer. you'll find that your sales conversion rate is a lot lower than what it would be if you had, dozens of customers who are successful working with you in the past. But it's really important just to stay persistent through this process. Understand it's going to be difficult, but ultimately if you persevere and if you have a good offer, if you're targeting a solid niche, that will lead to success. The second mistake I see people make when landing their first client is that they worry too much about pricing and being profitable. Personally, I wouldn't worry too much about selling a profitable offer to start with. What I would worry about more is proving yourself and proving that you can deliver on what you said you would. That's specifically applicable now to getting your first customer. I'm not talking about businesses who have dozens of customers. They're more focused on being profitable and ensuring that customer is a good fit for them. But when you're first starting out, I wouldn't worry about that. The first customer that I got was not a profitable customer. I provided a laundry list of services and did it for like €500. But I learned a lot, and that's what's important from getting that first customer. I learned about how to work with clients, how to manage a project, how to give estimates, and how to see a project through from end to end. Number 3, don't worry about selling what you want. Worry about getting in the game. And I work a lot with what are known as managed IT services companies through my business. I help them out with the sales and marketing and getting new customers. And a lot of them see other people in their industry doing really, really well, selling recurring managed IT services to local businesses. They see other businesses doing, several $1,000,000 per year. And of course they see them and they want to emulate them. But that person they're thinking of started in a very different place, in a very different market environment, a market environment that may have been very lucrative 20 years ago when someone was selling that product and that offer to a specific niche, but in this day and age may not be the ideal place to get involved in. So if you're starting out, I wouldn't worry too much about what you're going to sell. I would worry more about getting in the game and getting new customers. A big problem that I see is new business owners selling an offer that's the market just doesn't want to buy, and that's a massive uphill battle. When you're trying to pitch a business something that they don't want or something that isn't going to solve a problem for them, they're not going to see it as important, and they're going to undervalue it. And when somebody undervalues an offer, they're just going to either turn it away or even worse than that, whittle you down to a really low rate. And that's going to make your business unprofitable. So what's more important is actually talking to people, listening to the market, trying to understand what problems they have, and then create an elegant offer to solve that problem. And that might mean thinking outside of the box and coming up with a new novel offer that doesn't exist already. But the important thing is to get into business, and that's done through getting your first customer. So don't worry too much about what you're trying to sell. Sure, it can be in the kind of area or realm that you're trying to operate in, but it doesn't have to be a canned fixed offering to a specific segment of the market. The market is always changing, it's dynamic, and businesses are going to have new problems every single year. So it's essential for you to keep a pulse on the market and try to provide a solution to a problem that they're having. That way you'll be able to get your first customer, get some money in the door, and get into business, which is the main thing at this stage. Fourth biggest mistake I see people make when trying to land their first customer is trying to solve problems that they don't currently face. So what I find is that, and this is especially true for people who have been in industry for decades, or people who are highly educated, they start to think about too many scenarios. For example, they try to think several steps ahead before they even got their first customer. They try to think about procedures and processes and SOPs and systems and target operating models and all of these problems that currently don't even exist in their business. And it's a good thing to have some foresight and think a few steps ahead, but it's way more important in business to solve that first problem, which is getting the first client and getting revenue in the door and getting into business. So my recommendation to people starting out is to avoid analysis by paralysis. Avoid thinking about, the different tech stacks that you're going to use, or the different marketing automation tools that you're going to use to run your business and build your email list. Avoid this analysis paralysis and focus on just the one most important thing in your business. That is getting the first customer. And sure, after getting that first customer and after working with that customer, you'll start to create, let's say, procedures and SOPs and processes to make that delivery more efficiency. And you may even bring people in to help you out to deliver that whole thing as well. But it's important to not solve problems that you don't currently face. Now I want to talk about the 3-pillar framework that I have learned over the years from getting hundreds of clients to get your first paying customers. Now this involves 3 things. Number 1, your offer. Number 2, the niche you're going to serve. And number 3, the channel that you're going to use to acquire this first customer. So let's talk about the offer in the first place, and let's talk about the main components of an offer. The main components are an offer. There's 4 main components to a good offer. That's the number 1, the problem that you're going to solve. Number 2, the niche that you're going to solve that problem for. Number 3, the solution that you're going to provide to that niche to solve that problem, and the value that they're going to derive as a consequence of implementing that solution in their business or their niche. And they're the 4 components of a good offer. So I'll give you a typical example. So for example, that problem might be, let's say for a YouTube creator, that might be the problem that they're having is, creating good YouTube thumbnails, right? So the niche is YouTube creators, i.e. anybody who's creating YouTube videos currently, right? Now an example solution that you might provide might be done for you thumbnail design service. All right, so that's going to solve the problem of them creating good thumbnails for YouTube. And the value that they're going to derive from that is awesome YouTube thumbnails with 0 of their time or energy expended. So that's the value that they're going to get. They're going to claw back time and energy and mind space and all of that from utilizing that solution that you're going to provide. So that's the example of a good offer. Now, if you look at any industry, from IT services to software to lawyers to accountants, you can map out these different components for all these different industries. Now, all businesses, especially service-based businesses, provide some sort of offer. So for example, an accountant, the problem that they might solve is, end of year accounts. The niche they might serve is, let's say, lawyers. The solution they provide is, let's say, done for you bookkeeping and end of year accounts. And the value that they provide is regulatory compliance and better financial insights. So that's the first pillar of getting your first customer. You need a good offer, right? So it's got to solve a problem for a specific niche. You got to create that solution to solve that problem, and it's got to provide some sort of value, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is the niche. So this is a specific segment of the market, a slither of the market that can be grouped together with similar attributes. So for example, that might be small doctors' offices, that might be, partners running law offices, it might be accountants, or it might be, AEC firms like architecture, engineering, construction companies. They have to group together with similar attributes. That's the second component, a niche. And it's super important to target a niche because you can create an offer that will resonate with that niche and solve a specific problem for that niche, ultimately that they hopefully will all want. And the third pillar for getting your first customer is an acquisition channel. So this is a means or mechanism by which you're going to reach your niche or reach your target customer in order to engage them and ultimately sell them what you have to offer. So typical examples of this might be referrals or people within your network who are a good fit to do business with you. That's a means and a mechanism to reach your niche and your ideal target customer. Another means might be networking or word of mouth. So that's a great means in the early days to get your first paying customer, and what a lot of service-based businesses utilize when first starting out. And another way is inbound lead generation. So this, for example, is creating organic content or social media or running paid ads in order to make people outside of your network aware that you exist, who may not necessarily have known about you in the first place. So that's the 3-pillar framework for getting your first customer, building a solid offer, targeting a good niche, and having an acquisition channel to turn people outside of your network into paying customers. And just as a quick note, if you're looking for some help with starting up your business or trying to land your first paying customer or your first dozen customers, then I want to quickly announce that we have a few spots left for the free one-to-one consult with me. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description of this video for a free diagnostics call. You can click on that link and book in a time to speak with me to see if or how I can help you with growing your business. So here are my top 3 tips for landing high-value clients with ease. So number 1, sell stuff that's already selling. So when people are starting out, many times they try to create a completely new novel offer. They try to create something that nobody's ever done before. They want to be totally unique. They want to be in this completely new market that nobody's ever ventured into before. But the big risk with that is you may go enter a market where there's no demand, i.e. there's nobody really buying what you're trying to sell. And you definitely don't want that. You need a market where people are buying and transactions are occurring. And you need that to be able to generate revenue. Revenue key for growing your business, funding operations, hiring in staff and scaling to the next level. So don't fear competitive markets, because when you enter a competitive market, that's proof that there's transactions occurring within that market and people are buying in that specific segment. So you can just ride the wave on that or position your business in a way to stand out from some of the competition in that market where people are buying and transacting. That's how some of the real money is made. Number 2, entertain fully managed, done for you outsourced departments. Now I know that might seem like a mouthful, but let me explain. A lot of businesses, especially in this environment, are looking to outsource parts of their departments to lower cost alternatives that can allow them to deliver better within a specific function. So for example, in a typical business, you might have a function of a sales function, marketing function, an IT function, a service delivery function. So businesses are currently funding and spending within these functions. So they're paying people within these departments to deliver a specific outcome. So for sales, that might be growing annual recurring revenue by 25% every year. So for IT, that might be managing networks and infrastructure, ensuring that systems run accordingly. For marketing, it might be a KPI around attracting 10 quality sales leads every single month. So a big trend at the moment is businesses outsourcing these functions to providers who can, number 1, do it cheaper than what they're currently doing in-house, and number 2, can do it better and more efficiently than what they're currently doing within their business already. So that's an incredibly lucrative area to look at. And why it's so lucrative, it can allow you, if you're a good service provider and you can deliver better than what they're currently doing already, it can allow you to ride the wave of high value, long-term recurring contracts. So for example, a lot of businesses currently engage what are known as managed IT services companies, which are businesses who come in and take over the IT department within businesses who don't really want anything to do with IT, or it's not really their core function. A lot of lawyers, a lot of doctors' offices, a lot of professional services firms engage with these companies to manage the whole thing for them, and they might pay them $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month depending on the size of the company itself and the complexity of their landscape. So that's one example of a fully managed, done for you, outsourced department. So if you're looking to land high value clients, I would absolutely look to this area, because all it takes is 10 clients paying you $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and then you're a $250,000, $300,000 a year operation. My number 3 tip for landing high value clients is to target businesses, because they just have more resources to spend. I recommend avoiding larger businesses because the sales cycle can be super long. Yeah, sure, it's great to get into these businesses, but if you've ever dealt with selling into big businesses, there's a really long procurement time. Typically, big businesses want to work with other businesses. KPMG want to work with HCL, Deloitte want to work with the likes of the big banking firms. And that's a game, especially if you're just starting out, you probably don't really want to pay. If you did get your first customer there, you'd probably come in as a subcontractor under somebody who has a contract in there already. That's just my observation. So target smaller businesses, target smaller businesses if you're first starting out, anywhere from 2 to 20 in size. That way you can get a meeting with the CEO and get your foot in the door that way. So here are 4 useful resources that make it ridiculously easy and simple to get your first customer. Resource number 1, content marketing. So produce valuable content that attracts and engages your customer. What content can do? It can showcase your authority and your expertise in a specific field. And when people see that expertise, they're going to want to work with you if they have a problem that your expertise helps to solve. Number 2, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator allows you to find and connect with potential clients. Now I know LinkedIn has got a pretty bad rep over the last few years. It has really become a little bit of a spam fest, but it's still very valuable. It allows you to basically specify your ideal customer, their title, the vicinity that you're operating within, and allow you to figure out who are the main players in that market. And if done right, you can connect with those people, engage with those people, nurture them, reduce that skepticism, build that trust, get that first 15-minute meeting, and ultimately turn that customer into a new client if you have everything dialed in. Now I have a whole process around this. If you're interested, you can click the link below this video, apply for a free diagnostics call. I'll pull back the curtain. I'll show you a bit about how the whole process works and if it's going to work for you. Resource number 3, case studies. So case studies are awesome because they allow you to showcase results that you've delivered for customers in the past. So for example, I got a paving project done in my house recently, and one of the reasons why I actually went with the provider I went with is that he was able to show me on his phone a past projects that he did for a previous customer. Now this was only just a simple picture. Now your case studies, if you're selling to business, might be a little bit more extensive. They might be, a PDF, they might, it might be a PDF or a web page on your site that show different pictures and graphics and illustrate how the challenge and illustrate a bit more about the problem case and the solution that you put in place. But people want to see results that you've delivered for customers like themselves in the past. So case studies make it way easier to get your first paying clients. So try and mine up all the work that you've done in the past for other people and try to put it in some sort of a case study that you can show to customers. Resource number 4, paid ads. So paid ads allow you to get your marketing, your sales message, and your business out there in front of thousands of your ideal customers. Now, you do have to pay money for paid ads, and not everybody when they're starting out has the resources to fund paid advertising, but they can be really awesome. So for example, in Google, when somebody searches up a specific term, so for example, laundromats near me, there's real intent behind that search, i.e., people are looking for a service provider in their vicinity. So if there's a way, either via Google Ads or SEO, that you can work this to get your business near the top, and if you have like good copywriting skills where you can get a click and turn that click into a contact inquiry, that can be an awesome way and a simple way to get your first customer. As a final word, if you want to have a free consult with me and see if I can help you land some new customers for your business, or even want to learn how to make money on the side outside of your 9 to 5, then you could book in a free diagnostics call using the link within the description of this video. So thanks so much for watching, subscribe for more updates, and see you the next time.